Okay, welcome back. This video is another basics video where we're going to get some groundwork laid down before we try to really get into drawing anything. We'll do a tiny bit of drawing here just so we can see what's going on, but that's about it. So this video is going to focus on keyboard and mouse controls that you will need to be able to even operate in this environment. So the first thing we have to do, probably to make any sense here, is understand, first of all, you need a 3-button mouse to make Fusion work. So at the very least, I mean, people who use Fusion professionally or who are advanced users will use special CAD mice, which have all sorts of features on them, sort of like a gaming mouse would, but for CAD. But we're going to use a 3-button mouse, and we're going to use all 3 buttons, so you have to have that. The next thing you're going to need to do is get something on the screen so you can understand the rest of what I'm about to say. So follow along to get something on the screen. The first thing we're going to do is head up here to create. That's a good way to start to get something. And under create, this heading, we're actually going to go over here and go create a sketch. That's usually where everything starts in drawing or modeling in any CAD software, is creating a sketch. When I click that, up pops this thing. And this is called the origin. And the origin is, well, like the beginnings of everything. It's the center of the universe in CAD here. And the origin lines up with our view cube. So there's the front being displayed. And this, hang on, let me just back up a second here. So I clicked and I shouldn't have. Let's go back, start, there we are, back. So I hit Control Z there to back out of what I'd just done, and then I went right back and created another sketch. So that if you make a mistake, Control Z again is your friend. It will back you up a step. But the front of our drawing here is this panel here, and the right hand side would be looking at it from this side, and then the bottom, well, it's the bottom, right? So we have these are called planes, and we have this plane here, the front plane or vertical plane, and then we have that one, we got this horizontal plane at the bottom. In CAD software, you have to draw on something. You can't just draw in space. So because I have nothing yet, I have to draw on one of these chosen planes. I'm going to pick the front one, which is this one, and it's going to turn. And right away, I see that I'm on a piece of paper. Now, if you don't see grid on yours, grid control is down here, grid settings and all that sort of stuff. You can turn them on and off. I'm not exactly sure where. Snap to grid, maybe it's on the next one. Nah. Oh, sorry, that's when I'm in model space. I can't do it in here. This is paper space or 2D. We'll call this 2D. So what I've got going here is a coordinate system, and this is the origin. And if you know your X, Y coordinate, Cartesian coordinate system, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. So this is my X, my timeline heading up and back, and then my numbers going up and negative down here. So all you're going to do is head over here to create, and you're going to go to rectangle, and you're going to pick center rectangle. And then you're going to click on the center origin. And you're going to drag it out. Don't click yet, but just drag it out. And if you've already clicked, just hit Control Z and back out and start again. So all I'm doing is moving it out. I just clicked once on the origin, and look what's happening. As I move, I'm creating obviously a rectangle, but also measurements are coming in. It says 8.8 at the top and 6 on the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a 2-inch by 2-inch cube. So notice one of the measurements is blue. So if it's blue, that means it's the active measurement. So if I punch my keyboard right now and push 2, that one changed to 2. To get to the other measurement, I hit my tab key, and I can tab back and forth between the two boxes. And now I hit 2 on the other one and push enter. I have now created a 2 by 2 square. I said I was going to create a rectangle, but I made a square. Tricky. Okay, so what's happening? I'm doing things automatically that I just do naturally, but I am scrolling with my scroll wheel. And what that's doing for me is zooming. I will be scrolling and zooming wherever my pointer is. So the center of my zoom will be where my pointer is. So that's super handy. If I want to look at this little corner here, I'll put my pointer there and it'll zoom in a mile. know, I don't know if that's a mile, but anyway, the idea is I keep zooming, 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 zooming. I'm very close now, but I am at that corner the whole time. If I want to zoom in on the center, I just put my pointer there. So zooming is a super useful feature. Now, watch what happens. Sometimes you'll be off to the side like that, and you'll be like, I want it in the middle. It's driving me crazy. How did I just do this? Move it around. Well, you hold down your scroll wheel, and it suddenly becomes what they call a pan. And you also notice this little hand down here. That little hand goes blue. That's the pan hand. And so if I click that pan hand, now I can just use my mouse button, my normal left hand mouse button, hold that down and move it around, but I never do that. I always just use my, let's escape out of that. There we go. Hold my middle mouse button down and pan around. I guess this other feature is for people who don't have a 3-button mouse. I don't even know how you'd survive without a 3-button mouse. Okay, that's that. The next thing we want to do is be able to, well, I'll show you in a second, but we have to make this into a 3D model to do the next thing. So to make it a 3D model, what you do is you click on the box and it turns blue. And you hit the letter E on your keyboard and you will get something called extrude. Now, right now it doesn't look like anything's happening. But if I hold down the Shift key on my keyboard and the middle mouse button at the same time, I can orbit. Do you see what the mouse turned into? It turned into something that looks like an orbiting thing. And when I did, I could see an arrow. The problem was when I looked at it straight on, the arrow's pointing directly up at me, and I can't see the arrow. So I turn it sideways, or you could hit the doghouse, and you can see it. Doghouse turns us to that isometric 3D view. And I got this arrow, and now the cool stuff happens. Watch this. I'm going to pan out, or sorry, zoom out a little bit with my scroll wheel. Drag it. And now we're going 3D. So we're going to make this 2 also. So by the way, what if I made it really long and I wanted it 2? Well, notice the box in here, direct entry 2. Hit enter, and we now have a cube. Holding middle mouse button down, moving around, I am panning. Holding Shift key down, middle mouse button down at the same time, I am orbiting. And you might be able to see a little green dot at the center of the cube. That's the center of rotation or center of orbit. That's adjustable if I want. I can move it elsewhere, but that's perfect location right now. And also notice my view cube in the upper right. And now I can see the top. That's the top of the cube. And there's the front if I'm watching the view cube. Or if I want to just see the right hand view, I can go click here and it'll turn directly to the right. If I want to see this corner facing me, I could hover there, click that. If I want to do this, I'm using my Shift middle mouse scroll wheel and holding them both down and orbiting. Okay, so we know how to pan. That's middle scroll wheel mouse button all by itself pressed down. We know how to zoom, which is scroll wheel. And then we are now going to hold Shift and scroll wheel down and orbit. Okay, those are critical commands. Those, along with Control Z to back yourself out of things, along with Escape key to jump out of too many. Well, if it just freezes on you don't know what's going on, hit Escape key and it might work. That's going to get us going, believe it or not. That's quite a bit. And from there, we can probably move on to the next tutorial, which is time to draw something that we want. That's all for now.